On the 7th of January, the gunmen came into your offices. How come you survived?
Comment dire, j'ai eu beaucoup de chance. C'est-à-dire que c'était mon anniversaire, le 7 janvier. Et je suis resté longtemps au lit avec ma femme, plus longtemps que prévu. Parce que c'était mon anniversaire. Elle fait une bougie avec 2 biscuits et puis un café, c'était super. Et du coup, j'étais en retard à la réunion, tout bêtement. Et quand je suis arrivé à Charlie, j'ai vu des gens qui m'ont interpellé et qui m'ont dit « il ne faut pas rentrer, il y a 2 mecs en armes qui viennent de rentrer dans l'immeuble ». Et puis on essaie de comprendre ce qui se passe, on dit on ne peut pas rentrer, on sent qu'il y a quelque chose de bizarre, et puis tout d'un coup les premiers coups de feu commencent. Moi je reste toujours curieux, je remonte un peu la rue. Je vois les 2 mecs qui sont noirs et qui commencent à diriger leur arme dans la rue dans laquelle j'étais. Et ils ne savaient pas qui j'étais. J'attends un peu, je remonte, je mets mon machin, la porte s'ouvre, je monte les escaliers. Et je commence à voir des taches pas des taches de sang, des traces de pas ensanglantés. J'ai compris ça après, c'était les traces des sangs de mes amis. J'ai vu qu'il y avait des gens à terre, des culs. J'ai vu un copain à terre, face contre terre. Un truc hyper bizarre, c'est qu'on n'est pas préparé à ça. On ne sait pas comment on réagira, on ne saurait pas comment réagir à ce genre de situation. Personne ne sait. Quand tu prends du recul, tu te dis, nous on n'est pas préparé à ça, à Paris, etc. Ça arrive en Syrie, ça arrive en Afrique, ça arrive ailleurs. Et voilà, cette peur, cette angoisse, cette pétrification, en fait. On n'a pas l'habitude de ça, mais il y a plein de gens qui ont l'habitude de ça aussi. Charlie, c'est un magazine satirique, plutôt anard, a toujours cherché depuis les années 60 à faire tomber les tabous, à briser les symboles, à tous les fanatismes possibles. Quand Charlie Hebdo, en 2007, a publié les caricatures danoises en France, on était parmi le seul journal qui l'a fait, et on nous a dit que c'était des provocateurs, on était provocateurs, on était etc. Puis d'autres disaient qu'on était des chevaliers blancs. Il y a eu cet autre dessin où il y avait une caricature de Mahomet en une, alors qu'on n'est pas fanatique de Mahomet, mais à ce moment-là, l'actualité était là-dessus. Et le journal a brûlé. Et là, on était dans le rôle de victime. Donc on a toujours navigué entre les provocateurs et les chevaliers blancs et les grands défenseurs de la liberté d'expression. Mais là, tout d'un coup, tout le monde disait « je suis Charlie ». Et le fait de devenir nous-mêmes un symbole, c'est difficile parce que Charlie s'est battu contre les symboles. Comment on perce la bulle de ce symbole, le symbole qui est nous-mêmes.
What are the ethical responsibilities when you make drawings?
L'humour, ça tue personne. On ne peut pas être prisonnier de l'humour des autres. Il y a des dessinateurs en France qui disent on ne peut plus faire des dessins qui peuvent chagriner quelqu'un à l'autre bout de la planète. Si on prend en compte les positions, les opinions de la Terre entière, on déchire notre dessin, on range ça, c'est fini, hop, c'est fini. C'est fini. Et à un moment donné, on a dit, on va faire un journal responsable. Un journal qui fait de la peine à personne. Et ça nous a beaucoup fait rire de le faire. On s'est vraiment marré à mettre juste un ou 2 titres. Voilà. Ça, c'est le journal de ceux qui disent « Je suis Charlie May » aussi. Et les dessinateurs ont aussi un petit peu droit à l'irresponsabilité.
So normally when we have cartoonists at Idea City, it's a time to laugh. generally speaking, almost typically, Terry Mosher is here on stage. Terry, I think, holds the record for most repeat performances at Ideacity. And what he usually does is he brings a review of the year, all those wicked panels that he's drawn for the Gazette in Montreal, and we fall over laughing. When this occurred, I realized in the instant that it was no longer just a laughing matter, and that what I thought we should do, that I wanted to do, was to do an homage to the suddenly dangerous profession of cartoonist. I love cartoons, and one of my proudest boasts, if you all have a copy of this magazine and you look on the masthead and you get past this line which says Founder Moses Neimer, and you get to the really important stuff where the people do the work, you'll see that it says Cartoons and Jokes Editor, Moses. And so I took this personally in a way that, well, in a way that we all took it personally. So I called Terry and I called Wes. Wes Tyrell draws the cartoon at the back of the book, which is called The Prophet of Zoom. It has a character that looks suspiciously like me, a little Moses character who kind of runs around the world with his staff and his tablets of law and tells people what he thinks. So I called these two guys, and they happen to be the presidents of the Canadian Association of Cartoonists, past and present. And I said, guys, what should we do? And they said, leave it to us. So these are our designated curators for this pod. I'm walking off to the stage. I'm going to watch what happens next. This is Terry Mosher and Wes Tyrell. That one's Terry. That one's Wes. Okay.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Moses.
Yeah, this is Wes Tyrell, current president of the Canadian Cartoonists Association.
Howdy.
Doing a great job. Wes indeed does draw. Here we go. Let's see if this works. The Prophet of Zoom.
It's
right?
true. It's true. It's a great honor to be here, and it's a great honor to have the guiding hand of Moses to work with on a monthly basis. It's a challenging job to draw him because there's a special mandate at Zoomer that I can only portray the very honest and realistic daily events of Moses' life, as you can see.
So as a political cartoonist, too, he has a lot of fun with this piece. Wes is also an extraordinary political cartoonist, drawing in that kind of style that's terrific for the internet. It just jumps off you, very colorful. So he caricatures local politicians, social people in a zany kind of way. Tell us a little bit about these.
Well, you know, I think anybody, certainly the folks from Canada and Toronto specifically, know very well of the perils of what's happened in the CBC in the past year, particularly with the Jian Ghomeshi scandal, and things didn't go very well for the CBC, but it went particularly well for cartoonists because we got to draw him in ridiculous scenarios with teddy bears and things of that nature. And oh yes, this Mr. Beebs, it's the bastard child of all Canadians. He's a special person in our hearts as cartoonists. This is the Motel Politico. Motel Politico was a thing for Yahoo, and in my eyes, it's a place that should exist because who wouldn't go to a pool party with the crazy Ford brothers? They're very nutty people.
So how did you handle the Charlie Hebdo
well,
thing?
when the Charlie Hebdo thing came about, I was like all the cartoonists. We had to try and figure out how do we draw something that could express our outrage or our sympathy. And I thought maybe the angle of, you know, what's the Canadian perspective on bravery? And we have a little bit, we're very simple folks here. We think doctors are brave. We think astronauts are brave. We think We think hockey goalies are brave, and anybody out there that plays hockey knows that goalies are extremely brave. But in the long and short of it is, though, that there's brave and there's not so brave, and there's extremely unbrave with people who do these heinous acts. And the people from Charlie Hebdo have exhibited unparalleled levels of wonderful bravery and grace, and we pay great honor to them tonight, just to give you a few minutes on their extraordinary circumstances.
We're gonna do this a little differently. Actually, we had a long presentation on the marvelous way that Canadian cartoonists handled the whole Charlie Hebdo in their usual cheeky manner. We're gonna go through it very quickly. But first I wanted to say, anybody could be a cartoonist. All you need is a piece of paper, a pencil, and thousands and thousands and thousands of good ideas, and then it's okay. But think about the challenge. Look at this. It's a simple drawing, right? It's not particularly funny. Two pigs having a conversation. What's going to make that funny? What's going to make it work? That's the whole key to the thing. This is what's going to make it work. I wouldn't mind living in a fundamentalist Islamic state. Just a second here. Other great cartoons don't even need a punchline. Some of the greatest cartoons ever drawn are just sort of simple cartoons. Look at this one by our good friend in Australia, David Rowe. The Irish referendum on gay marriage. Matt Diffie in The New Yorker, who was here a few years ago. Wonderful Anita Kuntz, the Torontonian, on self-censorship. Beautiful stuff, right? We're going to do, I think we'll start bringing them up. Anita, come on up. We're going to start bringing cartoonists up.
Let's please welcome Anita Kuntz.
There's Anita. She knew one of the cartoonists in Paris very well, George Walensky, and she's judging with Ralph Steadman in Turkey. So it is a club. Hi, how are you?
Come on over to the lounge.
Now, this is a very important cartoon we have to show. This year, after the terrible events in Ottawa, Bruce McKinnon drew this cartoon, just a very moving cartoon, and it just resonated right across the country. And as a result of this, he won the National Newspaper Award, but also a new award, Canadian Journalist of the Year. So it's just a phenomenal cartoon, and it does us proud.
We're all very proud of Bruce.
You want to take my seat?
Sure.
All right, the lounge is open. Please come join us in the lounge.
This cartoon by Badeau in Ottawa, you remember this? It's a beautiful thing if you think about it, the sharpened pencil in the west and the eraser in the east. And given, you know, that in Islam and several others of the world's religions, mocking the deity is the ultimate definition of blasphemy, and yet it's expected here if it's warranted. Andy Donato is a cartoonist, been a cartoonist for 50 years at the Toronto Sun. He's got himself in hot water from time to time. But the best known cartoon ever drawn by a Canadian in the United States was this in 1980. And we began paying attention to the Islamic world with cartoons like this. The American Dream. Was just reproduced all over the place in the United States. Andy, come on up. You want to mention that?
Yeah, well, not to be outdone at the same time period, of course, the crisis that took place in Iran during the revolution gave Andy lots of ammunition for cartoons, but not to be outdone, our good friend Aislinn had his own response to the hostage-taking crisis when the Canadians stepped in and stepped up to the plate and were able to get the American hostages out.
Simple. I drew a beaver ping on hominy, which just, and to get that printed and at that time was really quite something.
And from there, of course, you know, we've moved through you know, multiple crises with in regards to the world of Islam. The fatwa put on the writer Salman Rushdie promoted a lot of cartoons. This very special one by Bruce McKinnon, I think really summed it up for a lot of us. Where
It's Allah. He wants you to lighten up.
He wants you to lighten up.
Very funny. What do we got next? I think we'll just sort of start to rush through.
Yeah, I think we have to move through pretty quick, gang.
So there was this was sort of the really upsetting cartoon back in 2005, the Danish cartoons. And actually, they were fairly conservative. This is the actually only truly funny cartoon of the bunch. You know, telling the suicide bombers to go back. But again, the reaction to that, Dale Cummings in Winnipeg drawing the prophet, touching on the business of don't make his nose too big, which is always a problem, you know, with editors and so on, trying to be not too stereotype. A great Brian Gable cartoon, the Five Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Suddenly, in 2005, cartoons seemed to be dangerous. Brian Gable, come on up. Come on.
Now, one cartoonist that never lets us down, and he's amazingly enough one of the real babies of the cartooning world for Canada. He's our good friend Michael Deatter, and he is able to give us show us the true value of a cartoon. It's now a dangerous weapon.
That was in 2005. It's a great cartoon. You know, suddenly cartoons are dangerous, and Michael did this. And then more recently, a cartoon that went all over the place. He drew this. Freedom of speech. Beautiful
nice.
Piece of work. Michael Deatter, come on up.
We have another good friend of ours out there, Tim Dolahan, who very optimistically presented
Wistful, you know,
a bit
nice.
of a dream.
Nice,
Like,
yeah.
please, can we maybe have flowers come out of a gun? You know, if only. I think that might be quite a sensibility that a lot of us share. And I think Tim Dolahan's here tonight. Maybe he'll come and join us as well.
Dr. Dolahan, come on up. This is a brilliant actual takeoff on an actual Charlie Hebdo cartoon, and the dejected terrorist is saying, "Oh my God, you know, you just can't win." Theo Modakis, the Toronto Star, who made a reputation on Rob 4 cartoons. Mr. Modakis, come on up.
All right. Well, let's not forget one of the complications for cartoonists that unfolded was this is a bit of a dicey business now, and Theo did a very, very nice handling of what's it like now. Do I have to go in and ask for a little bit more dough?
Oops. Danger pay.
Danger pay. Danger pay. Very, very true about a danger pay. For all of us Canadians, this is there's one person out there that means a lot to us. That means really a lot to us. It's the lovely Susan Dewar of the Toronto Star. We don't have enough Canadian female cartoonists.
And here she is trying to get to work, right?
I think Sue's with us tonight. Maybe she'll come join us.
Come on up.
All right. Well, Terry, I think you'd agree, you know, just it gets to a point where a lot of folks think, well, geez, all you crazy lefty pinko cartoonists. It's not the case. There are conservative, very much to the right, and terrific cartoonists in Canada. Like a gentleman named Cam Cardo, and Cam's he's a very religious fellow, and he's kind of portrayed maybe a facsimile of himself. Give me that old time religion, that old time religion.
He's wearing plaid too.
Yeah, he's wearing a bit of plaid. Just he'd fit right in here at Zoomer.
But
he didn't mean 7th century old. Not that far back.
So this is something we do. We take something, we turn it into domestic things too. John Larder, another right-winger in Calgary, you know, turning it into sort of attacking the liberal left people for not being tough enough on their policies and so on. It's kind of a cartoonist trick. What do we got next?
Well, if you wanted to go from one side to the other, we a good friend of ours from Guelph, a very talented cartoonist who a lot of you would have known from I Magazine for many years. Gareth Lind is always extremely tough on the Prime Minister, and good for him. And I think he's here tonight. Maybe Gareth will come join us.
Wes, come on up.
Hey, I'm here. And when everything unfolded earlier this year, I just thought, you know, what about in the terror fellow's life? He's getting ready. He's preparing himself to go off to work to shoot cartoonists, as you do. And he tells her, honey, I'm off to shoot some cartoonists. And she says to him, that's nice, dear. What's a cartoonist? And, you know, it might sound kind of glib, but it's true. There are a lot of people around the world, and not just folks in this Hebdo scenario, who are inflamed and who are marching in the streets, or they're doing really, really bad things and poor behavior, and they've never, ever seen the material that they're getting excited about. And I think this is an important thing that we all can't forget.
We're going to move along quickly here. The media really did support us on this. Front page of Le Devoir, They Were Charlie, a very strong cartoon by Ganat. Again, Andy, a very strong, almost horrendous cartoon on the front of the Toronto Sun. Just for a cartoonist to look at something like that. The Gazette in Montreal allowed me to write an editorial on the front page. The Globe and Mail really did us well with a great, strong Brian Gable cartoon and a whole issue. And also, Wes, you were involved in...
Yeah, the Globe and Mail contacted me, and this is something that doesn't happen in our business very often, where they said, listen, we want you to gather the troops and ask everybody to submit their cartoons for rival publications to hand over for free their material, and everybody, of course, willingly did that, and the Globe had a wonderful one-sheet of all kinds of cartoonists' work, and we were very grateful for that.
It created a great feeling of generosity. God bless Anita here. She did a beautiful, beautiful drawing here. I just, do I have it? Seem to have lost the, okay, we'll try it again.
There we go. Hey, there's Anita.
Solidarity. But you know what she did? She put it on our website and she said, anybody in the world can use this cartoon. So, I mean, it's just tremendous, a tremendous attitude. Dusan, of course, wonderful Dusan. I miss him. He's in Belgrade now. What else have we got here? Vancouver, Graham Harrop, such strong graphics. And McKinnon, of course, actually, he drew a cartoon of paradise with of course, slain terrorists sitting around, and the only magazines in the office are Charlie Hebdo. How great is that? Is that somebody from Hamilton laughing? Yeah, I thought so. Graham Mackay, great cartoonist for the, great talent for the Hamilton Spectator. Oh, and it always has an unusual take, huh? Wait a minute, go back. This one.
Oh, yes.
Jihadi
yes.
Idol.
Yes, they deserve their time in the spotlight as well. Some of our
and here, this is really touching on something that I don't think a lot of us touched on, but very effectively, some concerned parent, you know, and
yeah. Instead of raising a normal kid who's into sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I had to bring up a weirdo who's into fertilizer.
And I admire Mackay's mind, because then he took it and turned it in a different direction with another issue of the time. Je suis Cosby.
Oh,
Graham
yeah.
Mackay, come on up.
He doesn't shy away. Graham Mackay.
I think I'm not even going to bother with. Let's go.
All right, are we?
Yeah, we gotta
you know what,
move
gang?
along.
You know what? I think you've all you've absorbed a lot of cartoons, and we really thank everybody for all.
No, we're not finished.
We're not finished.
We've got to talk about Quebec.
You mean we're shutting up?
Just another minute or two. Okay, the pencil thing was kind of overdone. You know, pencils would take on. Okay, sure, but I think kind of isn't this the pen mightier than sword? Unfortunately, they're armed with assault rifles these days. I drew this today's French lesson. Je suis Charlie, tu es Charlie, and so on, because it was a salute to Quebec, because Quebec, unknown to a lot of other people, drew some of the strongest cartoons on Charlie Hebdo. I guess they're related. So I'm going to go through some of these very quickly. Don't worry, Mosher. We're almost there. Of course, there was Le Flac, and he led that show that week with Je suis Charlie. Serge Chaplot with a suicide belt of pencils. Very strong graphics again by Flegg. Another one, very strong. God, that's it.
Cote.
And all of the cartoonists in Quebec, of course, read Charlie Hebdo. Most cartoonists in North America had never even heard of it until the crisis came. So they really did relate to it. the business, the Quebec cartoonists got on first the fact of all of these world leaders showing up, but they noticed immediately that Obama wasn't there. He's saying, leave me a message, you know? And I love this of Ganat. We lead ordinary lives. Occasionally we go out for art supplies. Here he is wanting Bristol paper, three pencils, and a couple of candy ink, and the guy's offering a bulletproof vest. Pascal, before Charlie, kid playing with matches. After Charlie, kid drawing cartoons. You can demonstrate in favor of Charlie, but you can't read it. And some terrorist, you know, saying to his brother, what's wrong? And he's saying, God, my kid's drawing cartoons. So anyway, it was a great reaction. The first issue of Charlie Hebdo comes out. And our all-time favorite cartoon from Sue Dewar. Wait a minute, this isn't Muhammad. There you go.